Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Phone flash 1% before I even finish rapping. My hands and the music cut out halfway through the first song, while jump ropes were already slapping the floor and heavy bags awake in the room. One punch at a time, I reached for the charger buried inside the duffel. Pulled out tape, hand wrapped, spare socks, and yesterday's receipt instead. But the cable never showed up and the screen finally went black before I could force another song to play. Somebody pointed toward an outlet near the lockers. Another guy was already charging his speaker, and 2 more phones were plugged into the only extension cord in the building. So I shoved mine back into the bag and started moving. Before standing still became easier than training. Pads started cracking, chains started rattling, footwork started echoing. The gym found its own rhythm before I found another battery. Double jab snapped against the mitts, hooks hammered the heavy bag, and somebody on the next ring over was already halfway through hard sparring. While I kept looking toward the dead phone every few minutes out of pure habit. Coach yelled another round. I reached into my pocket without thinking, pulled out a screen that stayed black, and laughed at myself before tightening the gloves another notch and stepping back into work. A fighter offered one earbud, another offered a portable charger, and somebody even tossed me a cable from across the room. But every option disappeared the second another bell rang, because plugging in the phone would've meant unplugging myself from the session. Breathing found the beat, leather found the beat, chains found the beat. The music I wanted never came back, but the one surrounding me kept getting louder. Rounds stacked into each other until the battery stopped crossing my mind. Sweat covered the floor under the bag, and every clean combination landed with enough rhythm to replace anything that ever came through headphones. The timer reached 30 seconds, then 20, then 10, while my shoulders kept burning harder than the screen ever could. And by the final bell, my hands were still moving, even though every electronic thing I carried into the gym had already given up. Phone stayed dead inside the pocket, charger stayed lost somewhere back at home, and the playlist never came back to life. But chains were still swinging, gloves were still cracking, and one more round started sounding better than every song I thought I needed before. Walking through the door, yeah, yeah. Traffic blocked every lane before I even reached the bridge. Brake lights stretched farther than I could see, and the clock on the dashboard kept burning through warm-up time, while another message from my coach flashed across the screen, asking how much longer I'd be. A train dropped the crossing gates before my tires reached them. Freight cars crawled past one after another, and every minute sitting still felt heavier than a gear bag riding in the passenger seat. But turning around would have guaranteed missing everything instead of risking only part of it. The parking lot finally came into view. Every good space had disappeared. Another driver grabbed the last open spot in front of me, and I circled the block twice before squeezing the car up against the curb that definitely wasn't meant for parking. The front door was already propped open, gloves were already popping against pads, and voices from inside the gym echoed through the hallway before I even reached the locker room. Then my shoes hit the floor running, because changing slowly wasn't an option anymore. Hand wraps tangled themselves together, tape stuck to the wrong side, headgear slipped off the bench, and the mouthpiece bounced under another locker, while somebody shouted that sparring had already started without waiting for late arrivals. One glove finally closed around my hand, the second strap caught on itself twice, and I sprinted past heavy bags still swinging from the previous round, cutting across the gym just as another bell called fresh fighters toward the ring. Sweat, 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 sweat. Sweat was already dripping from everybody else's shoulders before my first punch landed. Fresh partners that become tired partners, and I stepped into a pace that gave nobody time to ease into anything, because catching up demanded more work than showing up on time ever would. Rounds disappeared, breathing settled, combinations started flowing, and the whole afternoon slowly stopped reminding me that I arrived late, because every minute I thought I lost got paid back, one exchange at a time. Street lights were already glowing outside when the last gloves came off. The parking ticket waiting under my windshield wiper cost less than the rounds I almost missed, and the engine started carrying me home with one less excuse than it had when the day began. Yeah. Cars filled every space before I even turned into the lot. Brake lights stacked bumper to bumper, and another driver cut across the lane just as I spotted the only empty space, forcing me to keep rolling while warm-up time disappeared one slow lap at a time. Curves were painted red, loading zones carry warning signs, and every place that looked close enough to gamble also looked expensive enough to regret. But driving farther meant running farther, and the bell wasn't waiting for either decision. A side street finally opened, the tires jumped the curve for a second. The engine shut off before I finished thinking, and the gear bag was already bouncing against my shoulder while I sprinted toward the gym. Footsteps hit concrete. Traffic kept screaming, my session had already started without me. Glass doors swung open, cold air disappeared behind me, and the sound of gloves crashing into heavy bags rolled straight through the hallway before I reached the lockers. Then the whole building started pulling me forward faster than I could change clothes. Tape stuck to my fingers, wraps tight and crooked, and the mouthpiece slipped onto the floor before I caught it with my shoe. But another bell echoed across the room and erased any chance of fixing things perfectly. Coach pointing toward an empty corner, somebody tossed me a pair of gloves without slowing down, and another fighter climbed through the ropes while I was still tightening the second wrist strap. So I skipped every unnecessary movement and chased around instead. Jab, snap, sharp, hook slammed hard, breathing stayed loud. The rush from the parking lot never really stopped. It just changed shape once the punches started landing, and every combination paid back another minute I wasted, looking for somewhere to leave the car. Rounds kept moving, shoulders kept burning, sweat kept falling. Turning finally ended, I walked back outside, expecting a ticket tucked under the windshield, but the wipers stayed clean, the streets stayed quiet, and the longest fight of the afternoon turned out to be finding somewhere to park before the first punch was ever thrown. Alarm hit before the sun did. I kicked the blanket off, pulled sore legs onto the floor, and nearly dropped back onto the bed when both calves locked up halfway to the bathroom. But the gym bag was already by the door, and staying home wasn't getting added to today's list. Coffee stayed behind, breakfast stayed behind, and the elevator couldn't get downstairs fast enough. Then cold air slapped my face outside the building, while every step toward the car reminded me yesterday hadn't finished with my legs yet. The engine started, traffic moved, another red light. Tried buying my patience and another green one, gave it right back. So I stopped negotiating with the morning and started chasing the clock instead. Coach blew the whistle before my second shoe was tied. I threw the bag against the bench, wrapped one hand while walking, wrapped the other while jogging, and reached the floor just as everybody else started moving. Jump rope, caught my foot, caught it again. I cursed once, laughed once, started over, and finally found a rhythm that hurt less than standing still. Legs argue, coach didn't. Round started anyway, caught it again. First shuffle felt slow, second shuffle felt better, and the third one disappeared under a right hand. It landed clean enough to wake the rest of my body up before my mind had a chance to complain. Heavy bags kept swinging, mitts kept popping, and another fighter stepped into my lane asking for work. So I nodded once, pulled the gloves tighter, and let another round solve a problem stretching never fixed. Sweat hit the floor, breathing sped up, footwork came back, everything hurting an hour ago. Stopped asking for attention once the pace climbed higher than the pain. Coach yelled, one more round. I grabbed the bottle, missed the bottle, grabbed the gloves instead, and walked straight back before my legs remembered they were supposed to feel tired. Bell rang, feet answered, work finished. Tomorrow could deal with the soreness after today's rounds were done. Caught it again. Cold air reached my fingers before the raps did. I rubbed both hands together, pulled the tape with my teeth, and watched my knuckles refuse to bend while another pair of gloves crashed into the bench beside me. And somebody laughed, because everybody knew exactly what winter training felt like. Coach clapped once, bags started swinging immediately. I forced the first wrap around stiff fingers, missed the angle, tore it off, and started over while another bell echoed across the room, and every second standing still made the next round feel farther away. Steam rolled off somebody's shoulders fresh out of the shower. My fingertips still felt frozen. The tape finally held, both gloves snapped shut, and I walked straight toward the bag before my hands talked me into waiting any longer. First jab stung, second jab burned, third jab landed better. Leather answered every punch with a harder sound than the one before it. Blood finally started moving through my fingers, and every combination felt less like waking sore hands and more like waking the rest of my body. Coach yelled harder, bag swung farther, feet move faster. Another fighter stepped beside me, another bag started shaking, chains rattled above our heads, and the whole gym slowly replaced cold hands with hot lungs. Bell rang before I wanted it to. Gloves touched once in the center, and the first exchange hit my guard hard enough to erase whatever stiffness survived the warm-up. Left hand finally listened, right hand finally answered. Footwork stopped, hesitating, 3 rounds disappeared. Sweat dripped off my sleeve, somebody called time from the corner. Another partner climbed through the ropes before I even reached the stool, leaving no space for cold hands to come back. Gloves landed on the bench, wraps peeled off slower than they went on, and cold air waited outside the front door all over again. But my hands stayed warm long after the parking lot emptied, because the work kept moving long enough to beat the weather before it ever beat me. Move, don't stop, coach. Through the midst before I even dropped the bag. I caught him late, pulled the hoodie off, I run and wrapped one hand on the move, and left the second one hanging because the bell wasn't waiting for anybody, still getting ready. Somebody shouted switch, another pair of gloves flew across the room. I caught him clean, missed the mouthpiece once, grabbed it off the floor and stepped between the ropes, while another fighter was already bouncing in front of me, looking ready to start. First jab landed, second jab answered, third one snapped my head back. Nobody cared, I came straight from work, because the only thing anybody inside that ring respected was what happened after the bell. Coach yelled harder. I kept moving, water stayed untouched. Every round burned another piece of whatever energy I thought I saved for later. Every combination emptied the tank a little more, and every breath came back shorter than the one before it. But slowing down would've hurt worse than pushing through. Bag swung left, bag came back right. I met it halfway. Another fighter pointed toward the bench, told me to sit for a minute and catch my breath. I shook my head once, tightened the gloves again, and walked straight into another round before my legs could vote against it. Bell ring again, fresh partner, fresh problems. His jab stayed long, his feet stayed quick, and my lungs started negotiating with every exchange. But my hands kept answering first, because running out of gas doesn't stop the clock. Once the round begins, hook landed, guard held, counter landed harder. Coach nodded once, timer hit 10 seconds, and everybody inside the gym started throwing like the bell was about to steal something from them. Gloves hit the bench, coach called my name. I turned around, one more round. I never found more energy. I just ran out of excuses before I ran out of work. Yeah. Oh yeah. Coach called my name before I even reached the lockers. I threw the bag onto the bench, grabbed the first shoes I could find, jammed my feet inside without checking the soles, and sprinted toward the warm-up line before anybody had a chance to ask why I looked like I was already late. The first hard step slid farther than it should have. The second one twisted my ankle just enough to make me look down, and that's when I realized I grabbed the old pair with almost no grip left underneath. But everybody else was already moving, and walking back to change them would've cost more than staying put. I pulled the laces tighter, stamped both feet against the floor, tested one pivot, tested another, and decided the shoes weren't getting any better. So the only thing left to improve was everything standing above them. Jump rope, clipped the front of my shoe twice before I found the timing. Every shuffle wanted to drift across the canvas, and every hard push reminded me the rubber had almost nothing left to give. But slowing the pace would've made the mistake even bigger, so I kept chasing the rhythm instead. Another fighter noticed the worn out soles, laughed once, pointed at my feet and said I picked the wrong pair again. But the next bell drowned him out before I could answer, and both of us were already reaching for gloves instead of excuses. Coach waved us forward, I stepped in the range before the command finished. Caught the first jab on the guard, answered with 2 of my own, and stopped thinking about the shoes the moment the punches started deciding where my attention belonged. Yeah. His footwork stayed cleaner than mine, so I shortened every angle, stepped closer than usual, and traded distance for pressure until every exchange happened close enough that grip mattered less than timing and commitment. Every pivot still threatened to slide, every reset demanded another adjustment, and every combination forced me to trust balance instead of traction. But somewhere between the third and fourth round, my body stopped arguing with the floor and started solving the problem one step at a time. came off before I reached the parking lot. They landed in the trash beside the exit. And I drove home wearing socks, because replacing old gear costs less than wasting another training session, fighting the wrong battle before the first punch even lands. Yeah. Coach called before I reached the gym and told me Roadwork came first, so I turned around without answering. Crossed the first intersection before the light changed. Slipped between a delivery truck and a parked taxi. Hit the sidewalk at full pace and watched the building disappear behind me, because today's session wasn't starting inside the ring. The shortcut appeared after the second block, cutting straight toward the river path, but I ignored it. Stayed on the longest street, climbed the first hill without slowing down, and kept counting traffic lights instead of miles while buses sprayed water across the curb. And every red signal tried breaking the rhythm before it settled. Halfway through the climb, another runner turned downhill. Somebody riding a bike shouted that the easier road was one street over, and a construction worker waved me around fresh concrete blocking half the sidewalk. But every detour only added another few steps, and every extra step was exactly why I came. Still running. The hill flattened for less than a minute before another climb replaced it. Both calves tightened without asking. Sweat rolled into my eyes, breathing started bouncing off empty buildings, and every corner promised the route was almost over before another stretch of road proved it wasn't. Cars disappeared behind me, the city grew quieter. The gym roof came into view across the intersection, and I almost turned toward it out of habit, but the watch on my wrist still showed another kilometer left. So I kept running past the front door while people inside were already throwing punches without me. Coach looked at the clock, looked back at me and tossed the gloves before I even reached the bench. I caught him on the move, wrapped both hands while walking toward the ring, climbed through the ropes without sitting down once, and met the first jab before my breathing, remembered how to slow down. Every pivot still carried the hill inside my legs. Every reset felt heavier than normal, and every exchange punished the miles I'd already finished outside. But staying on the long route had already made quitting the easy option disappear before the first bell ever rang. Another fighter climbing fresh while my shirt was already soaked. Another bell started before I reached the stool, and another 3 minutes disappeared trading punches with somebody who never had to run the extra distance first. But the final round always belongs to whoever stopped looking for shortcuts long before they stepped into the gym. The road home offered the fastest way back. The navigation agreed. Every sign pointed the same direction, and I ignored all of them again, because tomorrow's version of me has never thanked today's version for choosing the easier route. Yeah. Bell hit before I found my rhythm. The first jab landed on the gloves. The second pushed me backward. The third clipped my shoulder, and coach shouted, "Keep working." Before I even thought about catching my breath, so I stepped right back in the range, because giving ground always costs more than taking another shot. Every reset came too late, every exchange came too fast, and every time I thought I bought myself 1 second to recover, another combination crashed into the guard, forcing my feet to move before my lungs agreed with the decision. The mouthpiece felt heavier than usual. Sweat kept running into my eyes, breathing turned rough enough to hear through the headgear, and somebody outside the ropes yelled 30 seconds left. But those 30 seconds somehow lasted longer than the first minute of the round. Coach kept calling numbers. I answered with punches instead of words, missed one hook, landed the next cross, circled away from the ropes, and walked straight back into the center before the other guy realized I wasn't backing off. The bell finally broke us apart, but the stool only lasted long enough for one mouthful of water before another glove touched mine and another round started. Fresh partner, fresh pace and fresh problems arrived before my heartbeat settled. His jab stayed long, his feet stayed light, and every clean angle forced me to work twice as hard just to stay close enough to answer. Halfway through the round, both legs felt empty, both shoulders wanted to stop, and every breath came back shorter than the last one. Then one clean body shot finally woke everything back up, and the tiredness disappeared just long enough for another combination to find its way home. Coach pointed once, I nodded once, and the last bell started, pulling everybody toward the exit. But I walked back to the heavy bag instead. Threw one more round before taking the gloves off, and left the gym breathing harder than when the session started, because the second win never showed up until I stopped waiting for it. Coach waved me away from the ring before I asked for another round, pointed toward the squat rack with one finger, and said, if my legs were really finished, then prove it under the bar instead. So I dropped the gloves beside the bench, grabbed the bar with both hands, and stepped underneath before my breathing settled down. The first rep climbed slower than I wanted. The second one shook through both knees. The third nearly folded me in half, and the fourth demanded everything left in my back. But re-racking the weight early would've stayed in my head longer than sore muscles ever could. So I locked my feet into the floor and kept driving until the bar finally reached the hooks again. Coach added another plate while I was still catching one breath. Somebody beside me finished their set and walked away smiling. Another lifter asked if I was done yet, and I answered by ducking under the bar again, because talking never moved the weight, no rest. The bench stayed empty for less than a minute before another set replaced the last one. Dumbbells hit the rubber floor, plates kept ringing against steel, and every corner of the room sounded like somebody refusing to stop one exercise too early. Sweat rolled into my eyes, chalk covered both palms. My shirt stayed stuck to my back, and every grip felt weaker than the one before it. But every completed set somehow built enough momentum to survive the next one before doubt had time to catch up. Coach walked past without saying a word, slapped the timer, pointed toward the sled waiting near the wall, and kept moving. So I leaned into the handles, drove my legs through the floor, and pushed until the rubber finally stopped screaming underneath it. Still moving. The sled felt heavier every trip. My lungs stayed louder than the music. My legs argued every step, and my shoulders kept reminding me the boxing rounds had already happened before any of this started. But stopping halfway would've turned every set before it into wasted work. The last push ended where the first one started. I let the sled stop on its own, picked the gloves back up without sitting down once, and walked toward the heavy bag, because finishing one workout had never been the signal that today's training was actually over. Run it back. Yeah, run it back. Run it back. Yeah. Load another plate. Still here, still working, still breathing heavy while the room keeps emptying, because street never waits for perfect timing, and the bar doesn't get lighter just because the clock says the session should already be over. One more rep, one more breath, one more reason to keep both hands locked around cold steel before the excuses remember where I left them yesterday. Coach walked past while I was stripping the wraps off my wrist, looked at the rack instead of looking at me, and nodded once toward the plates without saying a word. So I threw the gloves onto the bench, slid another pair of plates onto the bar, and stepped underneath before my legs had enough time to negotiate. The first rep climbed slower than expected, the second stalled halfway, the third shook through my shoulders and nearly folded everything forward. But re-racking the weight that would've stayed in my head longer than sore muscles ever could. So I dug both feet into the floor and drove until the lockout finally came. Another fighter finished his workout, grabbed his bag and disappeared through the front door, while I stayed under the lights chasing one clean rep that kept moving farther away. Every time I thought I finally caught it, chalk covered both palms, still kept ringing, breathing stayed loud. Nobody counted for me. Nobody reached in to help and nobody cared how tired I looked, because everybody left inside the room was busy fighting the exact same battle against another plate that refused to move. Run it back. Don't rack it yet.
Grip tighter again.
The ball finally settled into place. My hands finally opened. The room finally went quiet, and I picked the gloves up before the towel, because tomorrow always starts with the rap almost everybody else decided wasn't worth doing.
You picked the wrong round. Fresh gloves, dry shirt, full lungs. Mama already soaked before the bell pulled us together, and that difference showed up the second we traded the first combination, because his feet floated across the canvas while mine carried every mile, every squat, and every heavy bag from earlier in the day. He circled left, I cut the angle instead of following, caught the jab on the right glove, slipped underneath the cross and pushed him backward before either of us had enough space to settle into the pace we wanted. 30 seconds disappeared. Another exchange, another reset. Sweat rolled off the headgear, the canvas squeaked under every pivot, and somebody outside the rope slapped the apron, counting down the final minute while neither of us looked away long enough to check the clock. His hand stayed fast, mine stayed heavy. Heavy work. The cleaner my heartbeat became, the harder every shot started landing, because panic had already burned itself out 3 rounds earlier, leaving nothing except time and balance in the next opening. He reached first, I answered last. The body shot folded him for half a step. The guard came back up. Both of us smiled without saying anything, and the next exchange started before either corner had time to celebrate. One clean punch, the bell broke the round apart. Fresh air rushed in the tied lungs, and somebody behind the ropes waved the next pair forward, while I stayed leaning on the top rope for one extra breath before stepping right back into the middle again. Walking tired. Walk out worse. Come back tomorrow anyway.
Step in, slip in, shoulder dip, split the middle, lift the rhythm, let him miss it by an inch, then send the right across the bridge before he figures out the trap he walked into. Your feet keep drifting wider, mine keep living tighter. Every pivot shifts the picture, every fight rewrites the distance. Now you're throwing where I was while I'm landing where you're going. You keep reaching, I keep reading. Different habits, different endings. The first touch wasn't built to finish anything, it only planted out, because doubt bends posture long before punches ever bend a fighter. And the guard sits higher, ribs stay open, elbows separate, balance disappears one adjustment at a time, until every correction creates another opening waiting underneath it. Slip, clip, rip, switch, cross, catches cheek, hook, catches body, step, steal center, everything changes. You finally throw the combination you've been saving all around. I roll under the last shot, catch the shoulder, beat the angle, turn the corner and send the counter home before your weight remembers which foot it belonged to. No lucky punch, no wild gamble, just measure pressure, stacking one clean decision on top of another until the round belongs somewhere it never planned to go. Bell rings too late, you finally found the answer after I finished asking the question. Yeah, too slow, too wide, too loud, too late. Yeah, you opened the lane before the punch even left your shoulder. I slipped inside, stole the center, split the rhythm and sent the counter home while your feet were still trying to remember which direction they were supposed to say. That first exchange never wins the round, it only writes the next mistake. You kept chasing speed, I kept stealing space. Different fight, different ending. The timer slapped another minute onto the wall. Sweat rolled through both eyebrows. Fresh air never reached the lungs before another bell dragged us back together, and the second round started exactly where the first one refused to end. Your jab started faster, mine landed cleaner. You doubled up, I doubled back. Every reset carried another opening. Every rush combination widened another gap in every clean body shot. Slow the next decision before it ever reached your hands. Slip outside, cross upstairs, shoulder turns, weight shifts, hook folds. The guard pivot out, step back in, same corner, new angle, different answer before your balance catches the question. The rope stopped bouncing, the crowd inside the gym stopped talking. Only gloves answered, one exchange became two. Two became five became survival. Nothing dramatic happened, the pressure just stayed long enough for patience to become another weapon. You reach first, I arrive first, there's a difference. Bell rang, wrong timing, I wasn't looking for the finish, I was building it. That chair stayed empty for 3 rounds.
Somebody quit before the work got ugly, and the raps were still hanging over the backrest when I walked past it. So I dropped my bag beside the wall, pulled the gloves on slow and took the space nobody else wanted. Funny how excuses always leave before the sweat does, because the floor still smelled like effort. The rope still leaned under fresh weight, and the timer kept counting for people who were willing to answer, instead of watching another minute disappear. The first exchange didn't need fireworks, just one clean step inside, one shoulder turned at the right time, and one body shot that changed the rhythm more than 10 loud punches ever could. He tried to buy space, I charged rent. He circled wide, I shortened everything. The ring gets smaller when your feet stop wasting miles. Halfway through the session, another partner climbed in with fresh legs and fresh confidence. But confidence burns fast when every reset ends with somebody standing closer than expected. So I kept closing the distance until thinking became slower than reacting. The chair was still empty between rounds. Nobody came back for it. Maybe they found another gym, maybe they found another excuse. Didn't matter, the work never noticed. Bell rang, gloves touched, same pressure, different face. That's enough.
Yeah. Break pace. Break pace, break space, break every habit you build just to survive another round. Because surviving never wins the gym, it only keeps your name off the floor while somebody else keeps taking your place. You waited, I worked, you measured, I moved. That's why the distance disappeared before your guard even understood what my feet were asking it to solve. The bell hadn't finished fading when another exchange exploded between us. Gloves crashed together, shoulders collided. Neither of us wanted empty space, and every inch became something worth fighting over before either corner had time and shouted vice. You circle left, I shaved the angle, dipped beneath the jab, ripped the body, reset the feet, and came upstairs with another right that landed while your balance was still trying to catch the first mistake. The ropes carried your weight, the canvas carried mine. That difference kept growing. Fresh weight hit the floor, another partner leaned through the ropes. The timer slapped another round onto the session, and nobody inside the room looked interested in slowing the pace. Just because the lungs started arguing with the legs. Pressure doesn't arrive once, it keeps knocking. Every clean touch rewrites the next exchange. Every small hesitation grows into another opening. You finally found your rhythm. Wrong moment, mind change first. Second burst, same pressure, different speed. I stopped matching your tempo and started breaking it. Doubled the rhythm without rushing the punches, shortened the combinations, lengthened the exits. Stole the center again and forced another exchange. Before your corner finished calling instructions, the room sounded different now. Chains rattled above the bag, shoes scraped across the canvas. Somebody laughed after eating a clean hook, and another bell pulled. Fresh fighters toward the ring while neither of us had enough air left to pretend this was only another round. Walk forward, stay dangerous, leave tired, come back heavier than yesterday.
Yeah. Tape hanging loose, glove half locked. I rolled the rap tighter while the bell kept talking without me. Smiled once, stepped through the ropes late and stole the center before anybody figured out. I wasn't rushing, because the cleanest rhythm never comes from panic. Funny thing about pressure, everybody thinks it sounds loud until somebody starts taking space without making noise. Then every little shuffle feels bigger than the hardest punch you threw all round. You wanted speed, I wanted position. You chased hands, I took ground. The first exchange didn't belong to either of us. It belonged to whoever stayed balanced after it. So I let the jab travel past my shoulder, turned the hip just enough to steal the lane, and answer with something shorter than the opening you left behind. The tape started peeling around my left wrist. Halfway through another round, I pressed it down between exchanges, touched gloves, heard the bell, and went right back to work before the loose edge had another chance to distract me. No timeout, no fixing it, just finished the round. Your combinations kept getting wider, mine kept getting smaller, tighter, and cleaner until every step forward pushed you another half step backward without either of us realizing how much ground had disappeared. The rap finally gave up after the bell hanging from my wrist like it wanted the day to end before I did. So I ripped it off, dropped it beside the stool, and reached for another pair, because worn tape is cheaper than wasted rounds. Same ring, fresh rap, Back to work, 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 work.
Swing first if that helps you breathe. I already watched the pattern repeat itself twice before your shoulders even twitched. So by the time the glove came flying, I wasn't escaping the punch anymore. I was already standing
where the answer was going to land. The first touch wasn't built to hurt.
It was built to teach. One step too wide, one elbow too high, one lazy reset. That's all pressure ever needs. The mouthpiece tasted like rubber and iron. Sweat kept running into both eyes. The bell disappeared under heavy breathing, and the whole ring shrank into two pairs of gloves, trying to solve the same problem from different directions. You kept throwing combinations, I kept stealing moments. You chased volume, I chased accuracy. Funny how one clean shot always outlives three loud misses. Half the round disappeared, fighting for the center. Shoes scraping across the canvas, shoulders crashing together. Neither of us giving the weight enough space to breathe without paying for it. And somewhere between another jab and another body shot, the rhythm quietly stopped, belonging to both of us equally.
Fresh air reached the lungs for exactly 1 second before another exchange swallowed it again.
The ropes bounced behind my back. I rolled off the pressure, stepped outside the lead foot, clipped the body, turned the corner and came back upstairs before the same opening had time to close. The tape around my wrist started peeling loose.
Didn't matter.
The guard stayed home, the feet stayed honest, the work stayed ugly. Another minute burned away, another partner leaned against the ropes waiting for his turn. Another pair of gloves hit the canvas and another bell promised belief that never really arrived, because training always finds one more round hiding behind the one you thought was the last.
Nobody remembers the clean rap.
Everybody remembers the clean counter. The mouthpiece slipped between my teeth, I pushed it back into place when my tongue nodded once without looking toward the corner and walked straight into the next exchange, because fixing equipment can wait until the work is finished.
The final bell broke the room apart. Conversations came back, water bottles open. Somebody laughed across the gym, and the red mouthpiece finally landed on the bench beside me, looking just as beaten as the hands that carried it through every round. Tomorrow, it'll go right back in.
Yeah. Yeah. Too eager, too square, too planted in the same lane. That's why the first fake already bought the second opening before the gloves even met. And once the rhythm tipped my way, there was no reason to waste punches, proving what the next exchange was about to explain. Every twitch tells a story, every shoulder leaks a habit, every hurry step writes another answer across the canvas. And all I have to do is read faster than you can erase it. Slip to the blind side, split the center line, clip the body, lift the cross, pivot out, step back in. Change the picture before the same mistake remembers where it came from. The mouthpiece clicked against my teeth, sweat blurred the edges of the ring. Another bell disappeared under heavy breathing, and the distance between us kept shrinking until every choice felt expensive.
Pressure doesn't shout, it collects.
One clean touch changes breathing. Change breathing changes balance. Change balance changes everything after it. Another partner waited outside the ropes, gloves already laced, eyes already locked on the ring, while the round in front of him kept refusing to finish because neither side wanted to hand the last exchange away.
The jab fell short, the counter didn't, that's the difference.
Not power,
timing.
The final combination wasn't the fastest one I threw all day. It was simply the only one that arrived exactly where the opening had been growing since the first minute. And that's why one clean shot always outweighs 10 careless swings.
Bell rang, hands dropped, work stayed. Yeah. Late bus, cold air. Keys hit metal, locker clicked open before my heartbeat settled. Raps came out twisted, laced them tighter with my teeth, because the time I never waited for neat hands or perfect mornings. Leather cracked across the mitts. The first exchange skipped small talk, shoulders bumped, feet fought for the middle. And the ring shrank fast enough to turn every careless step into borrowed trouble. Slipped outside the jab, clipped the ribs, dipped below the return, spun off the rope and caught another opening before the stance reset. The whole sequence felt stitched together instead of separated into clean little moments. Water splashed across the canvas during the break. Somebody laughed after eating a hook. Another pair of gloves slapped together behind me, and the next round started while my breathing was still arguing with the last one. Southpaw this time, long reach, fast feet,
Didn't matter once the distance disappeared. He circled, I shaved the angle. Shoulder brush, chest, head rolled under leather. Left hand dug downstairs, right hand climbed upstairs, and the guard opened just long enough to leave the answer sitting there. Tape peeled loose around my wrist halfway through another exchange. Pressed it flat against the glove between punches. Heard the bell somewhere behind the noise and walked straight back in the range before it lifted again. The room emptied, one fighter at a time. Bags kept swinging, chains kept rattling. The cleaner stacked buckets near the wall, and somebody killed half the lights while another round was still living inside my legs. Zipper closed, lights out, cold night, warm hands. Tomorrow already waiting before I reach the parking lot.